Hello, I'm Rico Cavella. Welcome to this episode of Fearless Aging, where in every episode, my guests and we strive to offer you proven tips and strategies that you can begin to implement immediately to greatly improve your overall health and well-being. So we're here to inspire you and empower you to become your best self so you can go out and make a bigger positive impact in the world. Now, on this show, we have 4 great interviews for you, and all of our trusted expert guests, they're going to give you just really action steps that you can begin to implement immediately to help you to overcome the particular wellness challenge that we're addressing in each episode. So be sure and watch the whole show, because then you also learn how you can obtain the free valuable gifts that all of our experts are offering to you as well. So the title of today's 4 different episodes, number 1 is the far best way to hydrate. And it's not about guzzling liters of water per day. Number 2 is about the new derma-shaped device. It's a new effective way to enhance lymphatic drainage, reshape your body, and eliminate toxins and excess body fat. Number 3 is how to manage a family member with dementia. This is such an important topic these days. And number 4, when you know who you are unstoppable. This is really a really interesting one. All right, so if you're ready, let's get started. Hello, welcome to this episode of Fearless Aging. And the title of this episode is Far Better Ways to Hydrate, and it's not about guzzling liters of water per day. So this is a great topic. Next to oxygen, water is our most important thing in our life. So this is going to be a really great, informative session. So our expert guest today, her name is Gina Bria. She's an anthropologist and founder of the Hydration Foundation. She's recognized as a leading resource for hydration science and education. She named a real world scholar. She produced the first International Hydration Solution Summit and the TEDx talk, How to Grow Water. It's not only blue, it's green. And she also is a co-author of Quench, your 5-day plan to optimal hydration. So Gina Bria, thanks so much for being here.
Oh, I love this conversation. Thank you, Rico, for having me.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. I just want to mention too, it's so good to connect with you again. You were one of our experts on our self-care summit about 3 years ago. Yeah, that was so good. So it's really nice to connect with you again, because you have some really interesting and great information for people. So let's begin. Just tell us a little bit about your background and how you got so interested in water and decided to form your hydration foundation.
Oh, that's a great way to start because as what's an anthropologist doing with hydration, right? Like
Mhm.
that's a crazy connection. But for me, it happened because the first 25 years of my anthropology studies was really looking at ritual around the world and how
Mm.
ritual works and why there's rituals and why we need rituals and all of those juicy things. And I kept coming across so many water rituals.
Mhm.
And I just couldn't figure out why water as a medium was so prominent in uh, health and identity and community. And so I just started kind of looking more carefully. And then I realized, hey, hydration or dehydration is a really big issue.
Mhm.
Um, and I think it's Dr. Zach Bush who said we're
Mhm.
100% of us are dehydrated. And when I looked at this seriously, I was like, you know what? That is absolutely true. Our tissues are not, we are struggling. And this is a culture, a biological environment where everything conspires to take away our hydration every day. There's percentage hits through the day, whether it's, when you're stiff when you wake up, or you hit afternoon fatigue at 3 o'clock, or your eyesight isn't so great, or your hearing isn't as good as it used to be, or you're enclosed all day inside, you're in your office, schools, cars, airplane, everywhere you turn, it's pulling out hydration out of our system. And I thought, okay, well, who does hydration well? Like, where is that possible? And I ended up surprisingly looking at desert communities. Like, I compared an airplane ride to a desert environment and found out they were actually the same percentage of vapor in the air. Can you believe that, Rico? Isn't that isn't
Well, we
that
know, yeah, we know that being inside an airplane is not a really healthy environment, is it?
well, it turns out being in your house is about
About the
not
same.
much different.
Yeah.
So I was looking for some serious solutions. What were the human solutions? Who did it well in really extremist situations? And of course, I went to desert communities and did field work and research in pre-industrial societies on how they were hydrating, say in the Kalahari or in the Sahara or in
Mhm.
pick a desert. I looked at it. There's only so many on the globe.
Yeah, that's pretty challenging to stay
Yeah.
hydrated in the desert, isn't it?
Yeah, and I was shocked, and I hope you will be too, to find out they're far better hydrated than we are in our cities and in our rural communities. And I took a look at what they were doing to hydrate. And this is the big aha that I want to pass on to your audience, which is that they were hydrating, not using liquid because they didn't have any. They did not have 8 glasses a day that they were guzzling. They were using food
Mhm.
food like, cactus, aloe, tubers buried under the ground are full of that kind of rich jelly. Cucumbers, we're going to talk about cucumbers today, I hope. Dates are a huge traditional hydrating food as well as a high energy food. And once I looked at the kinds of foods or the kinds of plants that these communities around the globe were using. Of course, it was a different plant in every different bioregion, but they all had in common this kind of aloe-like, jelly-like interior.
Mhm.
And once I started researching what is that jelly-like stuff, that was the commonality. That's when I stumbled into the new water science, showing that water comes not just in a liquid phase, not just in a vapor phase, not just in an ice phase, which is what we're taught, but actually in a gel phase or a almost like a plasma-like material. And then got further knocked off my stool because the next thing I realized or was brought to was that's the water inside of our cells and our
Mhm.
tissues. That's why you're not a sloshy sack walking around sloshing. You're
Oh,
not
that's
full of
right.
liquid.
That's
You're
right.
full of gel. Now it makes sense, right?
It does make sense. Well, Gina, before we get into more about why you can get better hydration, from that you can, but let's talk a little bit about, just first of all, I just want to say to our audience, if you think about it, the most important thing in our life to stay alive first is oxygen, and the second is water, right? So this is such an important topic, and so talk about uh, really why it's so important for our health to be really fully hydrated.
Well, we're getting to that now.
Okay.
I said, we're not sloshing around, we're jellying around. We're like jellyfish that, have bones in
Mhm.
us so we can stomp around on the planet. But even if you reduce it maybe to a different picture image, that every one of your cells is a water packet. And they're all stacked on each other, next to each other, or moving around, whether your muscles are moving or whether your water systems are moving inside of you. For example, uh, blood is just red water,
Mhm.
right? Our lymph system, our capacity to pull vapor in and then distribute it among our lung tissues, which is just a series of rivers that run through us. Even our eye socket, our eyesight, our eyeball is a jelly ball, and our ability to see well depends on how well hydrated and
Mhm.
full that eyeball is. If it's dehydrated, of course you're going to get less precision in your seeing.
Wow.
Your brain runs it functions as an electrical system all based on water passing among the cells of the
I,
brain.
I think our brain's like 80% water, isn't it? Something like
Yeah,
that.
and it's in this jelly form because that's what conducts the electricity. So
Mhm.
if you rethink how much you are water, then naturally hydration comes forward as our
Mhm.
first health intervention, right? Especially if we already know from the anthropology point of view that we're living in very dehydrating circumstances.
Yeah.
So, drywall.
We're basically drywall, right?
We're in drywall all the time, or we're in automobiles that are sucking, literally all of these places that we live. Each one of them takes a percentage hit every day on our hydration. So renewing ourselves with our hydration as the water beings that we are gives us a tremendous advantage to reconceive of ourselves as that need to renew and to live in this sort of fluid way with our own bodies.
Well, so well said. Thank you, Gina, and thanks for your great work. Okay, so let's tell our audience, what would you recommend? What are the three best ways what you'd recommend people to start really improving their hydration? What should they be eating? And also, I mean, we still need to drink some water though, right?
Yeah, you're partnering with water. We don't want to get rid of liquid
Right.
entirely, but what I want to do is get you into the chain of understanding that a good source of your hydration comes from the kind of food that you eat. And when you partner that with liquid water, then the liquid water becomes more efficient and absorbed as well. So, everyone carrying around the water bottles and dousing themselves all day long with water, you're creating kind of a new problem for yourself, because every amount of liquid you put in your system, your body has to do the energetic work of going to translate that into plasma or jelly, because that's what gets into the cells. That's how the water gets into your tissue. That's how it passes the cell membrane.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really important to recognize that the more you guzzle liquid, the more your body's exhausted by having to go get all that liquid, now translate it into the phase of water that's in a more jelly-like form, and that the body will even waste a lot of that water. Like, we're not doing all that.
Okay.
So vast amounts of drinking is not the solution for hydration.
That's right. So,
Yeah.
and the reason being is water in this gel form. It has electrolytes. It has minerals in it, and so that's why it's so much easy to get into the cell. Is that right?
Yes, because the whole point of being a water being is that it conducts electricity. That's the work of water. Now we know why we're drinking.
That's so good. Well, our sessions go by really fast now. So I know you have talk about the water salon and the water education program that you have coming up, and how people can connect with that and find
Yes.
out.
Yes. Thank you so much for asking me about so the Hydration Foundation, which I founded in order to help people get better hydrated without carrying all the water bottles around, which I never saw in a desert culture, right? They weren't doing that.
Yeah.
And using food, partnering with fresh, a lettuce leaf is 98% the correct kind of water your body can use immediately, right? An apple is more hydrating than a glass of water, literally.
Yeah.
Like, these are the kinds of ways. If you're going to have a pizza, just go have a salad with it, or eat an apple afterwards. In other words, just start thinking of this chain of events of how do I restore my hydration, use food. And we are teaching a lot of these things, or sharing a lot of information about water at our new water salons. So I think the next one is October 4th. We'd love to it's a Zoom call. You get to get in there and see who else is interested in water, meet people there who are caring about this new strategy for thinking about not only our personal health, but our planetary health, our animals' health, our crops and how we grow them, the great trees and how we can help them. All of those things are the kind of hot topics we discuss.
Yeah, thank you so much for Gina, and thank you for your great work. So yeah, we'll put the information. We'll put that link where you can join that event that's coming up about your water salon, so people can join you there. And also, I know you have a gift. It's a short video all about body harmonics. Just mention that
Yes.
real quickly.
I'm so glad you mentioned that. So that's a link. It's a free event. Anybody can click on that. And it is an interview I did that's about 17 minutes long that really addresses why hydration keeps you from aging. Because, I mean, when you think about it, death really is the ultimate dehydration, right? You're just tripling up and blowing away.
You dry up. That's right.
Yeah. So,
Gina,
love to share that.
okay. Well, thank you so much. We're out of time. Again, that's some great information, and I really appreciate you being here and offering this great information to our audience.
Thank you, Rico.
So thank you
Blessings
very
on us
much.
all.
Thank you very much. All right. All right. Our next episode is up. It's the derma-shaped device. Hello, I'm Rico Cavella. Welcome to this episode of Fearless Aging, where my guests and I, we strive to offer you proven tips and strategies that you can implement immediately to greatly improve your overall health and well-being. So we're here to inspire you and empower you to become your best self so you can go out and make a bigger positive impact in the world. So we have a very interesting interview today. It's entitled The Derma-Shaped Device. It's a new effective way to reshape the body, enhance lymphatic drainage, eliminate toxins, reduce water retention, and reduce congestion and fat, which I think those are all good things that so many people we could really benefit from. And our expert guest and also the inventor of this device is Colette Haddad. She is well, I should have asked you this. It's RNCP. I'll let you introduce yourself here, Colette. What does
Thank you, Rico.
RNCP stand for? Yeah, what does RNCP stand for?
Registered Nutritional Consultant Practitioner.
Okay.
Mouthful, right?
Yeah, a mouthful, right. Okay, I'll go ahead with the introduction then. She has over 25 years experience in the field of health and well-being management, and she designed and developed the derma-shaped lymphatic drainage device to meet the needs of clinics looking for a natural and effective way to deliver powerful detoxification and body contouring treatments. With her invention of the derma-shaped device, Colette is able to help clients achieve really truly remarkable results, and she has performed over 20,000 derma-shaped treatments over 2,000 clients. So Colette Haddad, thanks so much for being here. I'm really interested in what you have to say. I know this is really an important topic. So
Mm-hmm.
just give us a little brief idea of how you initially got into this field and how you decided that things weren't going as well as they need to be, and you decided to develop your device.
Well, first of all, Rico, thank you so much for having me. I really, really appreciate, and I'm very excited to be here. Yeah, as you mentioned, I have 25 years experience in the health and wellness industry. I ran a very successful clinic for 15 years doing blood analysis, nutritional counseling, and, lymphatic drainage. And I realized that there was a missing link to people's health. They were doing everything right, eating well, but things weren't moving and they weren't feeling as good as they should. So I spoke to my dad, who's an engineer, and we developed the protocol, which is now the DermaShape, to help stimulate and move the lymphatic system and make more awareness of the lymphatic system and the link it is to having a healthy life. So now I focus primarily on DermaShape and training practitioners, working with clients and spreading the method to more people to reconnect to their body, their health, and have an empowered lifestyle.
Yeah, really well. We'll talk a little bit about the importance of lymphatic drainage. Maybe some people aren't even really clear what the lymphatic system does, and then also, how you related that to what was going on that was probably insufficient ways of helping the lymphatic system drain, and so how your device makes a big difference.
Well, the lymphatic system, unfortunately, has not gotten any hype that it deserves. It's one of those systems that's kind of in the background and everything else takes over, but it's our internal cleansing system. So it's like working with your internal pipes. And so it's the body's way of releasing all the junk, the waste products on a cellular level. But it has a lot of other functions too. It helps with the immune system. It helps with water retention and maintaining the water balance of the body and actually transporting fats. So with all of the stuff it has going on, if it becomes sluggish or it's not moving as well, think about like a consistency of a milkshake compared to consistency of water, which is what we want, then it becomes backed up. And with the backup, you get that poor lymph drainage, you get toxic buildup, you get fat buildup, low energy, and more importantly, which is kind of the root cause of everything, inflammation. And everyone knows inflammation. Everyone knows how it feels. It's not good, and we don't like that. So by moving and stimulating the lymphatic system, we are able to reduce inflammation at the root and then have all these other benefits. So the DermaShape moves it 20 times more than anything else out there. We work through tissue manipulation. In other words, breaking apart things that press on the lymphatic vessels to release it so the lymph can flow. And then we also have a technique that actually moves the lymph more so than anything else. So once we target the lymphatic system and stimulate it, then we get all the other benefits that I mentioned that we really are going to, it's actually in response to aging. It's really shows our age because our lymphatic system isn't working well. So once we target that, then everything else starts to fall into place.
Yeah. So what it is, our vascular system, our blood actually transfers toxins into the lymphatic drainage system. Is that right? In order to get rid of all those toxins.
Yeah, the other way around. The lymphatic system takes all the waste products and it transports it to the blood. And I'll get a little bit geeky here in the thoracic duct. And then from there, the body eliminates it via natural processes. But it starts at the lymph. That's like where the basis, everything starts with the, so people call it the garbage disposal of the body. It's been called so many different things because it clears everything up. And then it transfers to the blood, and then the blood gets rid of it. So it's actually a little bit of the opposite way.
Okay, so I think most people are familiar with our lymph glands that are underneath our arm here, and quite often talk to us a little bit about. I know lymphatic cancer is also quite a common thing as well, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think, well, the cancer can spread via the lymph. So that's why, because again, it's just kind of, it's one of the systems that moves everything. And we have and it's a funny number, between 501 and 800 lymph nodes in our entire body. And the lymph nodes actually filter the lymph. So it's like a sieve. It takes all the, lets the lymph go through, but it holds on to all the yucky stuff. So it's a filtration system, but it also produces one of our white blood cells. So stimulating and moving the lymph nodes, the lymphatic system itself, is really going to help with decreasing inflammation, water retention, obviously the fat and cellulite we talked about, even our skin texture. So we really want to start at that root cause so that we can actually respond to everything else that we're doing.
Yeah. So I know in the past, mostly, what I was aware of, we can do rebounding, so it's supposed to help lymphatic drainage. And then, of course, some people do what they call lymphatic massage. So tell us a little bit more about how your physical device, it's actually a physical device. Can you describe it a little bit and tell a little bit more about how it works and why it's so effective?
And again, there are things to help it out, like the rebounder and swimming and things like that. But what this device helps, a lifting technique to separate the area where the lymphatic vessels are, manipulate tissue. Again, those things pressing on the lymph vessels. So it's almost like putting your foot on a garden hose. Things aren't going to move, and then it's going to end up backing up afterwards. So our system is able to lift, move the lymph, but manipulate and break up that hard tissue. So the stuff that's pressing on it. So it's going to be like everything else that you're doing, including lymphatic massage. It's like putting that on steroids. And that's the results you're getting with a DermaShape treatment. Because again, there is just so many things related to the lymphatic system, but that tissue manipulation and that movement, and we are able to target tissues at many different levels, not just superficial. So lymph massage is superficial vessels. They can't press hard because they will collapse the vessels. Whereas what we do is this lifting technique allows the vessels to stay open, keeping you in parasympathetic, so that relaxing part of your nervous system, the parasympathetic nervous system, move the lymph all at the same time. So people are getting instant results from this because we are literally able to move out toxins, move out water, stimulate the lymph, even when they just finish a treatment.
That sounds really good. So if people go to your website, Idera, and we'll put that that website address in the show notes. If they go to your website, Idera Concepts, Do you have where people can find where practitioners that are using your device?
Yeah. So if you go to the providers page, we have the DermaShape in over 55 clinics in North America, which is fantastic. People are finally learning the importance of lymphatic stimulation and lymphatic drainage and how it's related to our health and aging. So if you go to the providers page, you will see a list of every single clinic that offers that. You'll get a link to that. People can become a provider themselves. There's information on that, what's included, and that will all be on the website.
Okay, that's very good. And then also, if you are a clinic owner, I would definitely recommend you contact Colette so you can see how you can be a provider. Well, let's say, what would you recommend for people who there's not a clinic in their area that has your device? What would you recommend they do? What could they do immediately to start improving their lymphatic flow?
Well, any lymphatic stimulation is better than no lymphatic stimulation. Let's start there because, again, over time, people haven't realized how it's linked to all these negative things that we have going on in our life as we age. And by moving the lymph, you can actually start to feel better, have more energy, less fat, less bloating, all of that good stuff. So simple lymphatic stimulation with a dry brush, you can buy one off of Amazon. You can Google how you dry brush. There is a particular way working with the lymphatic system and the lymph nodes. They could do the gua sha. Gua sha has been really big. The fascia blaster. Even something simple like hydrotherapy, where you do the cold plunges mixed with the sauna. Even you can do that in the shower, hot water, cold water, and do, there's a certain amount of seconds you do that. So getting lymphatic stimulation done is very important. Rebounding, as you said, Rico, is another great thing, although it's boring. But swimming, so there's a lot of things that actually just focus on getting the lymphatic system moving, and that should be the key.
Yeah, thanks for that great information. So I highly recommend that you check this out. You want to go to her website and learn more about it. And if you don't have a clinic in your area, maybe you should talk to your practitioners or your clinics that you go to and recommend that they get one, right? Right, Colette?
Absolutely. Please do. We want to get the world to be a better and healthier place. So please do.
Well, thank you so much. And thanks for the work that you're doing and for that great information. I really appreciate you being on the show. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Rico. Really appreciate it too.
All right, we are back, and I have a short message for you, and then we'll come back with the third episode, which is how to manage a family member with dementia.
Wake up feeling exhausted, stiff, and sore? Do you feel like no matter how hard you try, those extra pounds won't budge, and the energy and vitality you once had are slipping further away? If this sounds like you, don't give up. Feeling tired and immobile isn't your destiny. It's not too late to take back your energy, your youthful shape, and feel great in your body again. Meet Rico Caveglia, America's healthy aging trainer, creator of the Aging Living Lifestyle and the Vitality for Life Wellness Program. At age 83, Rico has the moves and vitality of someone half his age and has a fitness age of just 35. For over 40 years, Rico has helped hundreds of people just like you regain their energy and vitality. That's agelessliving.lifestyle.com/coaching to learn more and book your free call with Rico to see if you or your parents are a good fit for this transformational program.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Fearless Aging. And the title of this episode is a really important one, How to Manage a Family Member with Dementia. And our expert guest, she's author Lisa Skinner. She's a behavioral specialist with expertise in Alzheimer's disease and related dementia. In her 30-plus year career working with family members and caregivers, Lisa has taught them how to successfully navigate the many challenges that accompany this heartbreaking disease. Lisa is both a certified dementia practitioner and also a certified dementia care trainer through the Alzheimer's Association. And she also holds a degree in human behavior. So Lisa Skinner, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for that very warm welcome and introduction, Rico, and it's my pleasure to be here.
Yeah,
Thanks for having me.
Well, thank you, and thank you for the work that you do. I know this is becoming really a major problem with so many people here, so this is something that really needs to be addressed, so I really appreciate the work that you're doing. So how about we start with just real briefly, tell us how you originally got involved with this.
Well, my backstory started about 50 years ago. I was a teenager, and I lived very close to my maternal grandmother. She lived a few miles from the home I grew up in with my family. And so I visited her often, and I had just gotten my driver's license. So I told my mom, I'm going to drive over to grandma's and show off my driver's license and my newfound independence. So I went over there and she invited me in. I went over regularly just for, to visit. And we sat down in her living room. And no sooner had we sat down, she started telling me about these birds that lived in her mattress and that they came out at night and pecked at her face. And she was terrified and couldn't sleep, and she didn't know what to do about it. And then she proceeds to point to her walls and asks me, do you see those? Do you see those? And I'm looking, it's like, I'm not sure what she's talking about. But she said, you don't see all those rats running all over my walls and all over my living room floor? And she says, oh my God, they're invading my house.
So Lisa, I don't want to take up too much time with this story, but anyway, so your grandmother got dementia, and so you wanted to do something to help her. Is that how you got started?
Well, then since then I've had 7 more family members.
Okay.
Yeah. And when I got my degree in human behavior, I was deciding what I wanted to do as a career, and I just kind of stumbled into a community counselor position for memory care, people who lived with dementia, and it was the perfect fit for me. So to date, I've been helping families for about 30 years.
So tell us how big of a problem is that? I mean, what would you say percentage of people are actually getting dementia these days? And when does it usually start for most people?
So, quite frankly, and this is a really good time to talk about this topic, globally, we are in the midst of another health crisis that most people aren't even aware of. It is projected that the number of people who will develop Alzheimer's disease worldwide will triple from the number of people who live with it today.
Wow.
And as a society, we're absolutely not prepared to take care of them this is really a critical time. To date, we don't even know what causes Alzheimer's disease yet, let alone have a treatment or a cure. So if we don't, and this is all supposed to take place by the year 2050. So if we do the math real quickly, that's short 25 years away. That the number of people who will develop this disease is expected to triple. Wow.
That's not good news. So we definitely got to get more information. There is a lot of research. There is a lot of people that I'm familiar with that are doing things that have been that are giving some success, reversing it, and we are finding out more and more different things. What different possibilities with toxins and things that are causing this. But that's a good thing, though. Our science is expanding really quickly too. So hopefully they'll catch up and all that. All right. So talk about a little bit about how you begin to help people. Talk about some of the major challenges that people have with being a caregiver.
In the 30 years that I've been helping families, counseling them and teaching them, the very necessary skills for communicating with people who can no longer communicate with us, the number one observation that I have made, the common denominator for most people, is they don't have a real clear or comprehensive understanding of what exactly is happening to the brains of the people that they love and or the people that they're caring for. Most people associate this illness with pretty exclusively with memory loss and confusion. But it is so much more complex than that. And just to kind of give you a couple examples, the stories that I started to tell you about my grandma, what I was witnessing with the birds living in the mattress, that's what we call a false belief or a delusion. This is very, very common in people who live with dementia. The rats are an example of her having a hallucination, believing that she's seeing something that wasn't really there. There are so many other behavioral expressions that come up as a result of the damage being done to the brain as a result of Alzheimer's disease and some of these other brain diseases that cause similar symptomology that people aren't aware of. So to answer your question, it has to start with really understanding what to expect and how to recognize that if you go to your grandma's house and she starts telling you about birds living in her mattress or rats running all over her house, this is a sign of dementia being caused by a brain disease like Alzheimer's or frontotemporal dementia or Lewy body dementia. That is where it needs to start. And then after you have a better idea of what to expect and how to recognize these symptoms that show up unexpectedly as a result of the changing brain, and how to effectively respond to false beliefs, how to effectively respond to the hallucinations that you'll see, and all the other behaviors, signs, and symptoms that accompany a brain disease like Alzheimer's.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. Yeah. Well, talk about, I know you have a new training course for people coming up. So talk a little bit about that, what that's all involved, and how it can really make a difference and really help people get prepared and what they need to do to be a good caregiver.
The goal and the intention of me writing this 6-module course, so it's about 6 to 7 hours long total, is to accomplish exactly what I was just talking about. It gives people a real fundamental understanding of what to expect if they've recently had a dementia diagnosis with a loved one, if they're caring for somebody. And then it expands to me teaching them skills, strategies, techniques, how to respond to all the things that will eventually challenge you. And it can be used as a personal roadmap while you are going through this journey with your loved one or caring for somebody. You'll have it to, fall back to and, refer to as a resource to help guide you along this journey that you're on with your person.
Yeah, that sounds so good. And they can find this on your website, mindingdementia.com, right? And we'll put all that information in there. Yeah, so I highly recommend it. If you are concerned about that or you already begin to deal with it, you definitely want to get some help. You don't have to be out there on your own. How about what would you recommend people do if they all of a sudden begin to start to suspect that something's going on with their parents? What should
That's
they do?
That's a great question. And it's probably one of the most often asked questions I get. And it would relate to somebody's parents or to themselves. I can't tell you, Rico, how many people that will come up to me after I speak at a conference or something like that, or an event. They stand in line and kind of whisper to me, I'm afraid I might be developing Alzheimer's disease because of this, that, and the other. Mm-hmm. So, and it is statistically, this is a true statistic. It is the number one most feared condition that people are afraid of developing starting at about age 55. everybody has it on their mind that they might be developing Alzheimer's disease or one of the other known brain diseases. If they start, periodically forgetting things, misplacing their keys, putting their phone down and don't remember where it is, walking into a room and then all of a sudden thinking, now, why did I come in here? I mean, that happens to me all the time. These are perfectly normal parts of what we call the normal aging forgetfulness process.
So that doesn't necessarily mean that you if you get a little forgetful, you're not necessarily in the first stage of dementia. Not necessarily, right?
Not at all. Not at all.
Good.
What really raises red flags to where we should start to become concerned is if the memory hiccups, that I call them, start to happen more frequently and become more severe, and to the point where they are actually interfering in a person's ability to function on a daily basis.
Right.
That is the point where we really need to get a professional medical opinion.
Okay.
Now, there is a new blood test that just came out. It's available on a limited basis that can actually detect whether or not somebody is developing Alzheimer's disease up to 20 years before the symptoms show up. So that has now just recently become available, and early diagnosis really is important.
Yeah,
where we haven't had that capability. The symptoms don't noticeably show up in people till they're already well into the mid stage of the disease.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's been a huge hiccup for us being able to kind of catch it early enough to make a difference.
Well, that's some good information. I hadn't heard about that. Well, Lisa, we're just out of time. So, again, thank you so much for being here and for your great information, for all the work that you're doing. And so I highly recommend that if you have some concern in this regard, you definitely want to check out Lisa's new course, and we'll put all that information in the show notes. So thank you very much for being here, Lisa, and thanks to all of our audience.
Thanks so much for having me, Rico. It was a great pleasure.
All right, we're back with our last episode. It's entitled, When You Know Who You Are, You're Unstoppable. All right, come on. Hello, welcome to this episode of Fearless Aging. And the title of this episode is When You Know Who You Are, You're Unstoppable. I really like that. It's going to be really, really beneficial and really interesting to you. And so our expert guest today, her name is Rashi Niyar. She's a self-realization coach. She helps her clients stay anchored in their highest frequency, which is love, peace, and abundance. And from these higher states of consciousness, they're able to remain focused and become more abundant in all aspects of their life. So, Rashi Niyar, thanks so much for being here.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Rico. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, I mean, this is a topic we really haven't talked much about, the spiritual aspect of life, and this is something that's really important in my life. So I'm really happy to have you here, and so we can get this information out to as much people as we possibly can. So always my first question from I'd like to get just real briefly. Tell us how you got into spirituality, and then deciding that it was a good idea that you could help people expand their spirituality.
Yes, absolutely. So it's been an 18-year-long journey, Rico. In 2007, I lost my pet, who's a dog, and he met with a car accident, and he died in my arms. And that was the first time I had experienced unconditional love from someone. Someone just loved me for who I am. I don't have to prove, I don't have to be anyone else except for me. In front of animals are like that, right? And when he died, that basically pushed me into a spiritual journey. to discovering who I truly am. It led me to ask deeper questions in life, like who am I? Why am I here? What's my purpose in life? And that I was depressed for a very long time, low level anxiety for 18 years of my life until 2025, where I lost another family member this year. And that woke me up to realize who I truly am. And when I did, I've become unstoppable. I've gotten out of my depression. I've not only gotten out of my depression, I'm writing my first book. I'm working with soul-aligned clients, and I've also launched my first app. And I'm on your beautiful TV show as well. So there you go.
Yeah, we're definitely going to tell people about this amazing new app that you came up with. I think it's going to
Yes.
be really beneficial.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that, so I want to ask a question though, is how do you think that, not many people really have that awakening to really discover who they are, and they kind of just go through life just reacting to things or just doing whatever other people tell them they should do and all this. So tell us a little bit more. Can you explain a little bit more about how you think that came about in your life?
Yes, and I was doing that too. I mean, I've met spiritual teachers, I've been with spiritual mystics, I've read spiritual books. It was like a whole path of 18 years where I was constantly looking for enlightenment. I wanted to become enlightened. That was kind of the goal, because when my dog died, I was questioning everything about who am I, why am I here, what's my purpose, what is God, and all of that. And when I finally realized, even though I realized who I am, I met myself in stillness and silence. When I came out of the experience of the high frequency that I had touched, I dipped down, I spiraled, and everything triggered me even more, which means that the world really triggered me a lot. My husband triggered me a lot. Everything triggered me a lot. And my kids, everything, right? Just everything was really, really crazy. So my daughter is here right now. So what happened was that when I realized who I am, I started repeating to myself these two words, I am. And that's it. When I repeated myself, I am, that's it, which means that I am, I exist, and that's enough. I already naturally returned to my original state, my original nature, which is peace, which is love, and which is abundance. These two words can magically bring us back to our original state. Most people think that being high, like staying on a high vibration, means, being all happy and being all cheerful and being giggly. But that's not what it is. Being in high vibration all the time is being peaceful, is being balanced, is being loving, and knowing who you truly are, connecting with your authenticity. And when you're being authentic, you're generally happy.
Yeah.
So this was my journey. And this is a practice every single day, Rico. Even though I got the awakening, I found, I got the spiritual awakening. I was blown away with, how powerful we actually are. But I came down from the high very, very quickly. It wasn't a permanent state. And so every day is a practice to stay anchored in that reality. And that's what I help my clients do, is to help them stay anchored in that reality with tools and, the work that I do with my coaching.
Were you meditating when you had this awakening?
My aunt passed away this year on June 11th, and I was very close to her. She died of MS. She had MS, and that was, and you wouldn't believe it, after 3 days after that, for 3 days continuously after she passed, the 12th, 13th, and 14th of June, she was in my head. And she was constantly telling me, Rashi, stop, love yourself, love yourself, love yourself. And before that, I had built 7-figure businesses, but inside I was depressed. I was chronically living with anxiety most of the time. I had mental health issues constantly.
Like so many people today, yeah.
Like so many people. So I wasn't content with who I am. I was still looking for more and more and more, and I wasn't really arriving anywhere. It was like going to the next milestone, but you weren't really arriving. So, and then I was like, what is the point of it all? What is the point? And so I just stopped, and I sat in silence with myself for 2 months. Besides being with my kids and besides cooking and cleaning, I blocked my calendar, and I didn't take any new clients. For those 2 months, I was just stayed as the witness, as I am. And that brought me home to my true self, and the joy that I experienced in that, I just cannot, it's very hard to explain. It's so beautiful. And it was bliss. It was pure bliss. And now every day, this is my practice, is to just return home to who I am and to take my clients there.
Yeah, that's so well said. Thank you for that. I just want to add, Rashid, is that we talk about who I am, but who am I? It's a little bit still, because people think who I am, they still think of their name or their profession or
Yes.
their material, in the material
Yes.
word. So I like to tell people it's not really so much who you are, it's what you are. And what you are, we all are eternal spiritual beings, right?
Yeah. 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 I love that. I love that.
And that's the
Yes.
realization that we really need to come to. It's not so much, not to identify so much with our physical body and our physical who we are and what we're doing. I mean, all that's important. We're here to do all those things,
Sure.
but we can keep in mind that we are all one. Really, we all come from spirit. We're all created from the same source, right? And
Yes.
that we are eternal spiritual beings. And as you found out, that is what will give us peace and joy, and then we can live a really a productive, joyful, fulfilled life.
Exactly. What you just said, I experienced that oneness. I really directly experienced that. And, we say that casually, that, we're the soul. And we say it, even I used to say that, we're souls and we've come from God. And it's like saying to an orange that, that's an orange before we've even eaten it. We have not had the direct experience.
Yeah.
And I mean, the word soul itself or spirit could be anything. We don't really know. No one's ever seen a soul as such, right? It's something that as a metaphor we use for spirit.
Right.
But what I do is I help them really have a direct experience of who they are. We can call it soul, we can call it spirit, we can even call it creator. We can call it just Atman. And in India, we have this word called Atman, which is another name for soul. But what this is it's a direct experience where you see yourself for the very first time naked, completely, like without labels, without forms, without identities, without even a name. And this is a process that I'm really passionate about helping people. This is what I do. I guide my clients back to who they really are. From that, what they see and what they witness is how powerful and how infinite, how eternal they are. And I know your work is all about fearless aging, right? And this is where when people discover who they are, they actually become fearless, which means they're no longer afraid of dying, because what dies is the body. Who they are actually is pure awareness that they don't die.
Exactly.
And that is the beauty of it. And then we become fearless, which means that and becoming fearless doesn't really mean that we don't have fears anymore. It just means that we're no longer afraid of our fears.
Exactly.
It just means that we are still going and doing, we're like, for example, I have a message to share. I'm still over here, even though I get maybe 3 to 4 hours a day to work on my business. And I have 2 kids under 4, right? I'm a new mom. So, but you just do what you've got to do because you're on mission now. And so that is what it is.
Yeah, that's so well said, Lashi. Okay, we've only got a couple of minutes left, so talk about this app that you have and where they can get it and how it's going to help them.
Sure, absolutely. So I have a free app that I've created. I've built it from scratch. And this app has, a series of questions. So it is basically designed in a way that it'll first awaken you, then it will anchor you, and then you can amplify that. You can amplify your frequency to your highest level. So that's how it's designed. So first, it takes you to a set of 8 questions where the app will ask you a set of 8 questions, and it will ask you to reflect on those questions. So for example, who are you beyond your thoughts? Who are you without your thoughts? All of those questions are there. Then it will take you to anchor yourself using a mantra, which is I am, I exist, and that's enough. So that's how people are coming back to anchoring themselves. And the third is amplification. So there's also like different codes that people can use. So it's an app that they want to use daily as a practice. And once they start using it, you can start seeing results within a week, within 2 weeks, you'll start feeling joyful, you'll start feeling blissful. And especially in the world that we live right now, Rico, like people are struggling with so many mental health conditions, right? People are stressed and people are operating from low states of consciousness, which is fear, worry, anxiety, anger, bitterness, resentment, and guilt. So if we can raise that consciousness of our people with our world, then we can create a better earth together. So this app is designed so that people can use that. And by you using that app, you just start making a positive difference in the lives of other people. So they can find it on my website.
Rashi, that's so good. I really appreciate your work, and it's so needed. Yeah, we're out of time now, but I'd like to have you back another time. We can get into a little deeper. That'd be really good because it's such an important message, and I'm totally on board with what you're doing. And so thank you for your wonderful work, and thanks for a great interview. And thanks for all of our